You're crazy. You're not remembering things right. How to respond to gaslighting. Stay on message. Remember that the goal of a gaslighter is to take the focus off of the issue at hand that you're bringing up 9 times out of 10 and instead place it on you.
Why are you always behaving like this?
Negative, insulting language, that will be the end of our relationship, and I don't want that to happen. Focus on behavior and not people. You are not here to conform. You are here to transform the environment around you.
Someone tries to talk you out of what you know to be real. And people that are gaslighters are manipulators. And it's devastating, it's damaging, and it is unacceptable. So regardless of why your gaslighter is gaslighting you, it's inappropriate, it's ineffective, and it is wrong. When you show them that you have woken up from that spell, when you show them that they have no power over you, what happens is they realize that their powers no longer work. And usually what happens is they throw a massive tantrum. So when you show a gaslighter that the jig is up, you're out, and you're not buying into their stuff anymore, they will throw a massive tantrum. They'll accuse you of stuff. They will become the victim. They will threaten you, become the whistleblower in the dynamic, and just say enough is enough. If you are going to call out their bad behavior, you better have the receipts. Make sure that you have witnesses. Make sure that you have examples. They do not go down without a fight. They do not go down without a fight. Be ready for shenanigans. And remember, shine on. We need your light. What's up, my people? Today we are here to talk about gaslight at work stories. So just as a reminder, what is gaslighting? If you're like, I think I'm being gaslit at work, but I'm not sure. Gaslighting is when someone tries to talk you out of your version of reality. If you say you heard something, they'll be like, oh, that's not what I said, even though that's what they said. It can come across as straight up lying. Like you said, blah, blah, blah. No, I didn't. These are all versions of gaslighting. When you think about it in the perspective of work, it happens at work all the time. Look, there are times when some people don't have the communication skills to have an open and direct conversation. So they wield their power in the shadows. They manipulate. They try and break our confidence. They try and get us to question ourselves. This is what gaslighters do. And he would then look at them and say, well, okay, what does it take to be successful here? And they would say, well, you should know that. We shouldn't have to tell you that. And you just don't have what it takes. And if you have to ask, you'll never know. That is a dead giveaway that somebody is gaslighting you and somebody who's trying to manipulate you. If they attack you personally like that with a vague attack, but offer absolutely no specifics around it, and with the intention of just making you feel bad and questioning and breaking your confidence, you're being gaslit. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Ask them for specifics, and if they can't give it to us, it is a giant red flag. We always want to give them the benefit of the doubt and be specific about what we need. Not because it's good for us, but because it's good for the company, or it's good for them, or it's good for the team. Make sure you are articulating that argument from their perspective and why it's good for them. That's step one, is give it a try. Make your best shot. If you're still being gaslit, I would say you could even give it a second try. Collect data and examples that prove that your assessment is correct. Until somebody blows the whistle and says this isn't sustainable and draws attention to it, nothing changes. You'll notice there's a little bit of a theme here. If you're being gaslit at work, do your best. Make a rational argument, give them the opportunity to redeem themselves. But what happens if you call a timeout, which is what I recommend? You know what? Let's all take a deep breath. We're all really passionate about this subject. Let's take a break and come back and we can discuss it rationally. Let's say you say that. Let's say you try and uphold that boundary. And what happens? They just keep yelling. And this time they're trying to talk you out of your experience of them yelling. A lot of us are groomed to be people pleasers. And if a yeller is yelling and we found the courage to say, hey, time out, let's take a break. And they say, not only are we not taking a break, you are weak for asking for a break. I do not accept people who yell at me. I won't have a conversation with people who yell at me. I will let everybody calm down. And if somebody has an outburst, I'm like, hey, it happens to the best of us, but let's take a break and come back and we can be calm. I am an immovable force with a strong boundary. So to answer your question, what do you do with somebody who's trying to gaslight you out of the fact that you have a boundary? You uphold it and you say as little as possible and you maintain eye contact and you stand your ground. I'm willing to talk to you once we've all calmed down. Period. Big hugs out there. Stay strong. Gaslighting is not fun. Shine on. We need your light.
Oh, Rapunzel, you know I hate leaving you after a fight, especially when I've done absolutely nothing wrong. Great. Now I'm the bad guy.
This concept of making someone question their sanity or their ability to reason or their own judgment. Gaslighting as a tactic is routinely used by cult leaders, by dictators, but also by abusive boyfriends and girlfriends, husbands and wives, employers, friends, family, to manipulate people.
They deny they ever said something, even if you have proof.
Number 3, they use what is near and dear to you as ammunition. Now, a quote from the article that really exemplifies this: they will tell you you'd be a worthy person if only you didn't have a long list of negative traits. They attack the very foundation of your being. And in Mother Knows Best, Mother Gothel just completely decimates Rapunzel's looks, her character, everything about her.
I do find it very interesting that in that, what she is denigrating about Rapunzel is actually something she's just projecting onto Rapunzel. They're her own concerns about herself.
Number 4, they wear you down over time. Rapunzel's been in that tower for 18 years being steadily fed a mental diet of all of this garbage.
So number 5 is their actions do not match their words. Mother Gothel constantly says,
I love you most.
but what she actually means is, I love controlling you the most. She won't let her be reunited with her real family, and she keeps her from experiencing real love.
Number 6, they throw in positive reinforcement to confuse you. In other words, the very person who is attacking you, just ripping into your identity, is now the person who's praising you, building you up. And it's confusing as heck. Also, oftentimes the gaslighter, the very thing they're going to praise you about is the thing that benefits them the most.
Number 7, they know that confusion weakens people. Our natural tendency is to try to find a person that makes us feel the most stable. And in this case, when it's the gaslighter, you're pretty much out of luck.
So you were telling me there's an example about this.
Yeah, so when Rapunzel wants to go see the lanterns, she doesn't know what they are. She just knows that there's lights floating up. And Mother Gothel says,
Oh, you mean the stars.
that plus the entire Mother Knows Best song is meant to confuse her and make her question her own
Judgment.
Yeah,
like
sanity.
she can't rely on her own judgment, her own interpretation of reality. Everything goes through Mother Gothel. Mother Gothel is the source of wisdom, right? This is a cult leader.
Oh,
She's got a cult
absolutely.
of one.
Yeah.
But she's got her in a little enclave, and she's just completely subjecting her and bending her mind to her will.
Yeah, the only thing that Rapunzel knows that are facts are what's inside the tower. Anything outside, she has to just trust this woman who's completely abusing her.
All right, number 9 is they try and turn people against you. Number 10, they tell you or others that you are crazy.
He actually does manage to turn Flynn against Rapunzel at the very end of the film when she kidnaps Flynn, ties him to the boat and sets him sailing. She makes Rapunzel think that he's left her with the crown.
Eugene!
Yeah.
Obviously, this is not Flynn's choice. He hasn't actually turned against her, but in Rapunzel's eyes, that's what happened, and Gothel, forced that to happen.
Yeah, and how that shows up in real life is the gaslighter will say, so-and-so was saying this about you.
Exactly. They could be lying completely. Everyone else is a liar. It makes people turn to the gaslighter for the correct information, which of course isn't correct information at all. But what are things that we can do once we start to see, these signs of a gaslighter in our own lives? Like, how can we come?
And it's fine to have surface level relationships with people who are just bad news for you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that doesn't mean you don't love them. It just means they're not safe.
Right.
Because there's a difference between love and trust. And if someone's been routinely gaslighting you, unless they see it and are actively working to change it, there's no trust in that relationship. So there shouldn't be a relationship at all, or it should be a relationship with really strong boundaries. If it's just you and a gaslighter, or if it's just you and another person, period, and you don't even see them as a gaslighter, you might want to question why it's just you and this one other person, and why they kind of push everyone else out of your life except for the people who agree with them.
10 signs you're being manipulated by a narcissist, sociopath, or psychopath. Narcissists, they don't want anybody to shine. it's all about them. They're so egocentric. Sociopaths, these are very violent people with a smile, so they conceal it. Okay, they're very calculated. They don't leave traces, and they can be social. So, what is the first sign you're being manipulated? Gaslighting. What is gaslighting? This is when someone questions you, right? They question you all the time, okay? Gaslighting is a classic technique used by narcissists, sociopaths, and psychopaths. They sow seeds of doubt inside you. Now, what is the solution? Remind yourself that nobody can make you feel unpleasant without your permission. Nobody can make you feel inferior without your permission. What's the second sign you're being manipulated by a narcissist, sociopath, or psychopath? They twist everything you say, like everything. They turn it around. And that is like classic manipulation, like twisting words around. Like they will tell you, you just made it up. Now, what is the solution? Have a journal. So when they try to twist your words around, you can actually write down the events that actually happened, when it happened. So they'll be like, oh my gosh, yeah, you're right. What's the third sign you are being manipulated by a narcissist, sociopath, or psychopath? They blame you. Major projection. Major projection works like this. Because narcissists, sociopaths, and psychopaths never want to take responsibility, they blame you for absolutely everything. Now, realize this. Don't treat people as bad as they are. Treat people as good as you are. That's what I've seen along my journey. So even though they are projecting onto you, that's okay. Don't follow them. Don't start doing tit for tat. Just realize that they've got issues. Many times they need a hug. You don't want to give it to them? Don't worry about it. Okay? But don't play their game. Don't feed into them. Just walk away and let go of whatever is no longer serving you. The fourth sign you're being manipulated by a narcissist, sociopath, or psychopath is this. They throw aggressive jabs, left, 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 right, 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 and then they disguise it as a joke. Oh, it was just a joke. They will hurl insults at you and then say, oh, it was just a joke. What's the fifth sign you are being manipulated by a narcissist, sociopath, or psychopath? They don't care about your achievements because it's all about them. You see, narcissists always have to have the spotlight on them. What's the sixth sign you're being manipulated by a narcissist, sociopath, or psychopath? We can't really express how we feel. They give us these massive guilt trips. Okay, that's what narcissists love to do. That's what sociopaths love to do. That's what psychopaths love to do. They love to make you feel guilty for speaking your true heart and mind. What's the seventh sign you're being manipulated by a narcissist, sociopath, or psychopath? They are control freaks. They love to control situations. They love to control people. They are control freaks. They want to control your every action. They become highly possessive. Now, what's the solution? Realize this, that you are not under their control. You are not their slave. You are not their prisoner. You came here to be free. I'm talking to you. If you are in a relationship with a narcissist, a sociopath, or a psychopath, you don't have to stay there today. I've been in friendships where it's highly toxic. They're a narcissist, Some friendships, they're a sociopath. Some friendships, they're a psychopath. And I'm like, what am I doing here? Many times it's Stockholm syndrome. Stockholm syndrome. What am I talking about? When someone holds you hostage and you end up loving the people who are holding you hostage, right? It's weird, but that's how it works. Stockholm syndrome. So remind yourself that you are no longer under their control. You are a free being. You can move and go anywhere you want. What is the 8th sign you're being manipulated by a narcissist, sociopath, or psychopath? They change the subject to evade accountability. So because they never love to take responsibility, it's always your fault. Remind yourself that it's always your fault, according to them. So when you bring up stuff and then you show them their own dirty laundry, they'll quickly change the subject. Beware of that. Okay? So the solution is to remind yourself that keep doing it. Keep bringing up and highlighting what they are doing, and that it is unacceptable because you are worthy and you have every right to exist just as they do. And you are not below them. They are not superior or anything, okay? You matter. So don't allow them just to change the subject. Keep bringing it up until eventually they have to face themselves in the mirror. What's the 9th sign you're being manipulated by a narcissist, sociopath, or psychopath? You never feel you can meet their expectations. And what's the 10th sign you're being manipulated by a narcissist, sociopath, or psychopath? You never know your position with them, because many times narcissists, sociopaths, and psychopaths, they're always changing how they behave. Psychopaths are very erratic. They're more kind of predictable. Sociopaths, on the other hand, oh, they're sly. They're like foxes. They can be around you in a social circle and they could be smiling to you, but they have a hidden agenda. So you never really know your position with them. Narcissists, same thing. They can use you to get what they want, to make themselves appear even more grander, right? Well, the solution, who cares? Because they aren't important. If you have people in your life who are not coming from a place of authenticity, you don't need them. They're lying to you through their teeth. Spot a liar. I would rather a bit of truth than a sweet lie. I don't care how bad the truth is, just tell me it. You want the truth? You can't handle the truth. I wrote down, we live in a world so fake, the truth actually scares people. Look, boo! Ah! Well, it doesn't scare me because the truth will set you free. I know it will piss you off first, but it will set you free. The great deceiver, lies. And all lies have an expiry date. If you feel something is off, you're not crazy, you're just waking up. That's your intuition. That's your inner voice. And don't let anybody tell you you're crazy, deep divers. No, you're just waking up. When we're trying to identify if something is truthful or it's a lie, if they're making it up as they go along and they're changing the story here and there, yeah, it's a lie. Deep divers, right? Anytime as well someone is gaslighting you, this happens a lot in abusive relationships. It's called gaslighting, okay? And that's when you make someone actually doubt their own sanity. They're like, oh, maybe it's just I'm making it up in my mind. Yes, you are, right? That's called gaslighting. It's very dismissive and it's a form of manipulation to control someone. So gaslighting is how to spot if someone's lying. If they're always gaslighting you and they're like, hey, it's all in your mind, they're lying. Because anybody that lies to you does not want you to question them. You see, the truth is you can't hide the truth. That's the good news. You can only suppress the truth. But just like when you want to hold a ball underwater that's inflated, its nature is to come to the surface. You see, the truth is going to come out eventually. But they got to try and suppress it. Censorship, big tech. Anytime someone says you can't debate me, my word is law, believe what I say, obey me, they're lying to you. You see, the truth doesn't mind if you debate it, because the truth is built on a solid foundation. Lies are built on a house of cards. Slow motion this side. They fall apart very quickly. Now, let me tell you this, deep divers. We often hear it's for your safety. Stay indoors 24/7. It's for your safety. No, safety is another word for control. That's how to spot a liar. If they tell you about one thing, but then they do another thing, their words and actions have to align. Don't trust anyone who says one thing and does another thing. Don't trust anyone who doesn't practice what they preach, deep divers. Deceive us every single day. They lie to us. They create stories. They tell you it's just a story. And they need your attention. And they spread fear. So, anytime, if you listen to something or even watch something, and there's no heart there in how they're telling you the information, don't just listen to the words. Listen to how they're conveying the message. But they're not giving you the information from their heart or their soul. Slow motion this side. Because when you talk from the heart, the truth comes out. What? Slow motion this side. Look at the eyes, deep divers. The eyes are the windows to the soul. To spot a liar, if they always look away, chances are they're lying. Because the truth looks at you directly in the eyes. It's not afraid. It wants to see you. Do you see me right now, deep divers? That's the truth. Lies have to look away because they'll get exposed otherwise. Also, the body language. Okay, many times people are lying to you when their body language is what we call a very low power pose. Sometimes it's like this. The truth stands proud, open and free. Okay? They're lying to you through your teeth. Right now, learn to stay as free as you can. They're lying to you through their teeth. Spot a liar. Don't listen to the words that are coming out of someone's mouth. Listen to the subliminal messages, which is the tone of their voice, right? Let me tell you this, deep divers. Lies cannot stand next to the truth. What? Slow motion this side. Lies cannot stand next to the truth. That's how to spot a liar. They want the truth out of here. They want to censor the truth. They want to censor the truth. They want to hide the truth. They want to suppress the truth. They are intimidated by the truth. Okay? They don't want you to think for yourself. They want to control the narrative, and that's exactly what's happening. The truth can stand alone. Lies need a whole load of stories. Lies need to convince you, persuade you, manipulate you. The truth speaks for itself. They tried to bury us. They forgot we were seeds. They tried to lie to us. They forgot we were the truth. Ooh, I like that. Have a beautiful day, deep divers. The truth is coming out. 3 things that can never be hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. Woo! Peace. Infinite waters diving deep once again. Stay well. Stay healthy. Peace. So I just got done reading that really long message you sent me, deep divers. And I don't believe it. You explaining to me what happened to you in childhood, this happened, that happened. I don't believe it, not for 1 second. Deep divers, I feel like you're making it all up. It's all in your head, and you should snap out of it. Now, you have just been officially gaslit. Any deep divers, how to overcome gaslighting. Have you heard of that expression? Gaslighting? What is gaslighting, Ralph? That is when someone manipulates you into questioning your whole sanity. Like they're like, hey, you're going crazy. It's all in your head. Okay, many times people who gaslight us, they want to change the version of events to suit themselves. They want to act like it didn't happen, like we're going crazy, like we are the insane one. So how do we deal with gaslighting? First and foremost, learn how to speak up. Anytime, deep divers, someone comes into the room and tries to gaslight you, say, oh no you don't. Oh no you don't. Not today. Not tomorrow. Not next summer. I'm not going to allow it into my personal space. To deal with gaslighting, someone who is trying to manipulate you, learn how to find your voice. Learn how to say no. Learn how to stand up for yourself, because what actually allows the gaslighting to continue is your silence. You have to learn how to break your silence. Anytime someone is saying, hey, that didn't happen, you have to say, no, it really did. This did happen. You see, deep divers, all experiences are subjective. Therefore, all experiences are valid. Oh, baby, your experience is valid. They may have a different version of events, but your version of events are just as valid. And you have to learn how to express yourself to someone who is gaslighting you. Don't be silent. Speak your truth. Or you have this freedom of expression, the gaslighter can no longer bully you into submission. So learn how to find your voice. Speak up for yourself. Now, it's on you to take responsibility to say, actually, who do I want to surround myself with? People who are putting me down and making me question my sanity, or people who actually honor my own unique experiences? And you have to learn that your strength comes from knowing who you are, not allowing other people to define you. See, gaslighting happens when someone else denies your reality. They deny your existence and say, actually, it didn't happen. Learn every single day, deep divers, that it did happen. When you create healthy, energetic boundaries, you now overcome gaslighting. The only reason gaslighting can continue is because people get drawn to this person who is gaslighting them. They feel they need them. And you have to realize that actually you're a lot better without them. So if they say it's all in your head and you're like, no, it's not, and they're like, yes, it is, you don't even have to have that conversation. Don't let it get to that point. Just say, this is a person who lacks accountability. You see, many manipulators and gaslighters, they don't want to take responsibility. They want to throw on the blame to you, for you to deal with. Well, you have to realize that actually they have the problem, not you. You see, anytime someone is pointing one finger, they got three fingers pointing back at them. And that's what happens in so many gaslighting situations. People are projecting onto you. They made the mistake and they're acting like you're the one that made it. They want to silence you. They want you to keep quiet. But more than ever, you have to express yourself. You have to let it all out. It's going to be scary, but you owe it to yourself to say, actually, I'm not gonna bow down. I'm gonna be defiant. Key word, defiant. Learn how to stand in your truth. Learn how to win your own approval, not someone else's. But many times with a lot of manipulators and people who are gaslighting you, they are afraid to take responsibility. They can't accept that they made a mistake. Because of their ego, they're like, hey, it's all in your head. You did it. You're to blame. You're the bad one. I'm the good one. They paint themselves as saints while you are the sinner. We have that power within us to say, actually, no, this stops. And you have to allow your no to grow louder. And the more you can do that, you develop this confidence. And confidence means to trust, from the Latin confidere. And that's how to deal with someone who is gaslighting you. Because the more silent you are, the worse it becomes. I'm just speaking my truth. And that's how to deal with gaslighting. Learn how to break out of your shell. It's not going to change until you change it. To deal with gaslighting, it starts with you being in your personal power. In you saying, I've had enough.
Gaslighting at Work, Part 2, how to confront your gaslighter. Gaslighting is when someone is trying to talk you out of your version of reality. They're trying to make you feel a little bit crazy, and they're trying to make you doubt yourself. As a way of slowing down the action is I like to call a time out. And I literally will do this, like, whoa, 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 time out, time out. And with a gaslighter, it's priceless because they're trying to create momentum around whatever narrative they're spinning. So in those moments when she would try and spin me up fast so that I would lose my footing in a conversation, I would say, whoa, 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 time out, time out. And you're able to hold up a mirror to the gaslighter so that they can see what's actually going on in that moment. 99.999% of the time, this is all it takes. Because once a gaslighter realizes that you are not F-with-able, they tend to leave you alone. Obi-Wan Kenobi say in Star Wars, like, the weak-minded are very susceptible to the Force. So call a time out. I find that the timeout works absolutely fantastically in gaslighting situations where someone is lying. You know when else this works really, really great? Is when the gaslighter keeps changing the rules of engagement. That is a classic move of a gaslighter at work. You agree to one thing, but then that thing changes 100 times. And before you know it, you're like, how the hell did we get here? I've made this point a couple of times. And it's fine if people disagree with me. That's absolutely understandable. But we're not engaging on the point I would like to engage on. Number 2, give direct feedback if you can. Sometimes gaslighters don't really even realize they're doing it. They don't have that self-awareness. If you can get them alone, just one-on-one, not in front of other people, not with an audience, because that would make them feel exposed and defensive, but get them one-on-one and say, hey, would you be open to some feedback? If your gaslighter says, no, I'm not open to feedback, this is something that needs to be documented. In business, it is absolutely assumed that you, as a part of a functioning team, must be open to feedback. Number 3, establish and uphold your boundaries. It's not the gaslighter's job to manage your boundaries. That's your job. But part of it is like getting clear. Are you clear on what your roles and responsibilities are? Are you crystal clear about what the priorities are? And then listen, I totally understand why X is a priority. I get it. Notice how I'm validating. I'm not rejecting, I'm validating first. Totally understand why X is a priority. Given that my main focus, however, is Y, I need to keep my focus there. So establish your boundaries and uphold your boundaries. Just to recap, here is how you confront them. Number 1, you call a timeout. You reassert what your understanding of reality is and ask them to engage with you on your version of reality, not just theirs. Give direct feedback privately And before you give it, ask for permission. If they don't give you permission, document it. Get some outside perspective. Establish and uphold your boundaries. And if you don't know what your boundaries ought to be, that's got to happen first. Understanding what your own boundaries is the only way you'll be able to uphold any boundaries. So now you've got some moves. Now you don't have to be blindsided. Now you have some strategy.
We're talking about gaslighting.
Yeah.
What is that?
So gaslighting is a form of emotional abuse. It's where a person doubts the reality of another person. Gaslighting is sort of a signature tool of the narcissist, and they're often engaging in it to protect their fragile egos. So again, it's very much a tool of manipulation, of emotional abuse. The first one is when somebody says to you, "You're too sensitive," or "You have no right to feel that way." When you do that, you immediately tell them that their emotional world is invalid and you're judging them for it. You have no right to feel that way, as though you are judge and jury on their emotional state.
Right.
Or telling someone they're hungry when they're not.
Yeah.
You know, so this is the emotional, when we do this emotionally, it is termed gaslighting because the person's like, I thought I was that, but you're telling me I don't get to be angry about this.
Right.
And then some people, when they're told it enough, they believe it.
Right.
When people are given this situation, being told you're too sensitive, you have no right to feel this way, the best thing to do is to not engage at that point, because you can't win. No matter what you say, this person, if anything, by those statements, has shown that they're willing to emotionally manipulate and abuse you.
Okay.
The second is deflection. Believe it or not, deflection is a form of gaslighting because you're talking about something. You might take the time and say, we need to talk about this issue, and sit the person down in a hope of benefiting your relationship. And maybe you raise up something, I don't know, about a lie or about something financial in the relationship, and they deflect it to, well, you know what, now that you brought this up, remember 2 years ago when blah, 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 and now an issue you're bringing up that's very relevant to here and now, they now are talking about something that happened years ago or something that's unrelated. But when they deflect to a situation that makes you look bad.
And see, what I would want to do is say, excuse me, you're deflecting. But I'm guessing that's wrong.
They'll say, oh, because that situation makes you uncomfortable, doesn't it? And you see what I'm saying? They're going to tunnel.
Oh,
so
sorry.
when there is that kind of deflection, once again, you can either gently bring it back, say, okay, we can come back to that. Absolutely think we should talk about that if it's important to you. I really want to stick right now, though, to the issue that we were originally talking about. Oh my God, it's really hard to talk to you about. And then they might keep going back and forth. If you have to rein them in more than twice, that conversation is done. You're going to have to either find a different forum for it or realize you may never get to have that conversation.
Yeah,
So
managing
deflecting
expectations is a reoccurring theme when you are dealing with someone who's a narcissist.
Especially gaslighting.
Especially gaslighting, yeah.
The third example of gaslighting is that never happened.
Oh.
So to which, most of us, when we're told that, our first tendency, believe it or not, is maybe that didn't. I'll always say, I'm getting a little older. Maybe I didn't remember that. And there will be people, the internet's made this easier. They'll go back over old photos, they'll dig up old emails, and they'll say, ha, there it is. And proud as punch, they'll trot that evidence up to the narcissistic person and say, see? Narcissists don't like getting caught in the inconsistencies of their gaslighting. They will either get angry or they'll deflect again. The simplest advice when you're being gaslighted is to end the conversation.
Gaslighting is a word that's used a lot in the media these days. As a disclaimer, we want to note that not everyone who says these phrases is automatically a gaslighter. Gaslighting is intentional, and a gaslighter knows exactly what they're saying and what they're doing. 1. What did I do to you? If someone responds to you this way, they may genuinely not know what they have done and are asking you about it. But when it's gaslighting, they are aware they have done something to hurt you and are pretending to play dumb. In defensively posing this question to you, they are denying the impact they had on you and are also forcing you to question it. 2. Everyone around you isn't the problem. The problem is you. This is sometimes used as a way to shut down the conversation or dialogue for whatever is happening. This type of language is often referred to as victim blaming, where the gaslighter will make statements that cause you to feel like you are the problem, even when you have fallen victim to something such as bullying or abuse and the situation is outside of your direct control. 3. I'm sorry you feel that way. When someone's hurt you and they say something like this, then it is not a true apology. Instead, it's a way to make you feel like you are the problem. They say that they're sorry that you feel the way you do, rather than apologizing for what they've done or how they made you feel. 4. I don't remember saying that. I think you made that up. This is the go-to phrase that a gaslighter will use to intentionally get you to question your experience, behavior, and thoughts in order to take the focus off of them. 5. It's your anxiety that made me do the things I do. This is a common response when a gaslighter gets called out for their behavior. They use this as a reason to justify their own negative behavior when in fact, they should take responsibility for their own actions instead of choosing to blame you. 6. You need help. This term is used to imply that you are the problem and that you need to address your issues rather than them having to work through their own issues. This is a shutdown response to avoid working things through with you. 7. It's your fault. People who gaslight will neglect any responsibility for their actions or for a situation. Instead, they will directly blame others. This can be a repetitive cycle where you may be made to feel like something is your fault, even if it isn't them. 8. You're too emotional. This implies that your characteristics are seen as flaws, and this can make you question your own sense of who you are. 9. It's not a big deal. People who gaslight have a tendency to minimize the impact that something has on you. They may make you feel like you are making a bigger deal out of something when you are within your right to talk about things that are bothering you and express yourself openly. 10. Why are you so defensive all the time? You're attacking me. This is a common phrase used when you challenge a gaslighter. They have a tendency to flip the conversation towards you and make it out like you are the one who is in the wrong. By accusing you of being defensive and that you're attacking them, then they become the victim. Do any of these phrases sound familiar to you? These are only some of the things a gaslighter will say to you. You may have heard these before or even said them yourself, but this does not necessarily mean you have been gaslighted or that you are a gaslighter. Gaslighting is intentional, and a gaslighter knows full well what they are saying and what they are doing.
I'm going to talk about how you can put a stop to gaslighting. And we need to start talking about how you can put a stop to gaslighting behavior. Allow me to give you a quick reminder to exactly what gaslighting is according to the Cambridge Dictionary. It's the action of tricking or controlling someone by making them believe things that are not true, especially by suggesting that they are mentally ill. Let's begin. Number 1 is to trust your gut. Gaslighters are great at making you think that you're going crazy. So in other words, you're not trusting your gut instincts. And your gut is telling you something. It's there for a reason. It's there to inform you something is awry, something is amiss. And gaslighters are great at making you think that your gut is misinforming you of something. And sometimes our gut isn't accurate, or at least what we think our gut is telling us isn't accurate, but we need to at least learn to pay attention to our gut and listen to it and investigate. So when a gaslighter is making you feel like you're going crazy and you can't trust your gut, realize that your gut is trying to tell you something and it deserves to be investigated. That leads me into the second point I want to share with you, and that is that you need to remember that your feelings matter. Gaslighters are great at making you think that your feelings don't matter or your feelings are wrong in some way. The result were these feelings, and those feelings matter, and they deserve to be discussed. So a gaslighter will try to deter you from your feelings and make you believe that they're not important or that they are misplaced. Again, don't take that bait. Remind yourself that your feelings matter, and even if they are misplaced, they deserve to be discussed. Number 3, stay on topic and stay focused, because gaslighters are masters of diversion. They're great at getting people off topic. So they're very good at it, and they're very subtle. So if you feel like the conversation is starting to shift to a different topic, to a different concern, or flipping it back on you as if you're the problem, then you need to put a stop to that in its tracks. And you can simply say something like, I'm willing to talk about that, but I want to talk about this right now. If you still have concerns about something I did or another situation or event, then let's talk about that in a minute or two, but right now I want to talk about this. Stay focused, stay on topic.
Talk about the signs of gaslighting in the workplace, but of course, let's start with a definition. Dr. Romney, what is gaslighting?
So gaslighting is the denial of reality, and it's a grooming process that's designed to allow another person to dominate another individual. Gaslighting has multiple steps. One is sort of maintaining a position of trust or authority with that person, denying reality, and then undercutting that individual by telling them there's something wrong with them. Your memory's off, you must be crazy, you must be paranoid, whatever it is.
Beautiful explanation. When somebody asks me, what does gaslighting mean? I say it's when somebody causes someone else to doubt their own reality. Is that too broad of a definition?
I would say that it's the denial. It's the actual denial of reality. That's not happening. And I think that the fallout of gaslighting is that a person doubts their reality. I don't even know that the gaslighters rubbing their hands together saying, I'm going to make them doubt their reality. It's more of like, I'm going to control the narrative, right? And I'm going to, you see what I'm saying? Like they want to be in control. It's not as not intentional as one would think. Like that's their end game. I'm going to control this and I'm going to do this by sort of saying this is how it is, and there must be something wrong with you.
Okay, so in the workplace, this happens a lot. We've talked about it in relationships on MedCircle, but now we're shifting into the workspace. What are some common gaslighting scenarios you've heard of that occur in the workplace?
Well, one would be doubting someone's commitment. So a person might say like, hey, haven't had a raise in years, and or I've done all this work and none of it's been recognized. And the employer turns around and says, or the boss, whatever, and says, wow, you must not really be committed to our larger cause here. You know, we're all hands on deck. And that person actually has done their homework and they do believe in the cause or the mission of the company. And so having that doubted is a form of gaslighting because that person's reality is that they're actually deeply committed. And another one would be denial of contribution, that a person is their literal contribution to something, an idea, time, whatever, extra time, whatever. And then when a person pushes back and says, hey, I wrote that section of it, I came in over the weekend, that the gaslighter will then say to that, wow, you're really petty. Is that what this is? You're not about, this is about a team. And they'll say they will paint that person who's saying, give me credit, as being somehow petty, or even sort of framing it as sort of a, I don't want to say hazing ritual, but like, this is what we do here. You earn your stripes, you work your way up. And so now a person's actually is a significant contributor, but the employer is saying, in essence, I'm not going to recognize that. And they're not even acknowledging that they did contribute. Like saying,
how do you gaslight, though, something like someone's commitment? I understand you could gaslight them by saying, you're not going to show up on Saturday to work, or you did or did not stay after 5 o'clock or something. But if somebody's not committed and I just feel like they're not, I'm like, you're not really committed, you don't show up. Or
well, if you don't show up and they say you're not committed, that's not gaslighting because it tracks.
What is blame deflection?
So it would be where you might try to give feedback to someone, right? You'll say, hey, listen, we're noticing this trend in your work, and this isn't, these deliverables aren't being made or whatever. And that person, instead of hearing that, will come back with like, this isn't my fault. I mean, they're kind of just pushing back. It is a denial, though, because what they're not doing is responding to you didn't meet these job parameters. And instead of taking ownership of that, they're saying, I couldn't because of these reasons. It really sort of stymies the conversation because the person's not growth oriented. So it's not a pure example of gaslighting because they're still sort of acknowledging reality. Yeah, okay, sure, I didn't do those things, and it's your fault. And say, the evidence base. And they'll say, oh my gosh, look at you, little Miss Obsessive, feels the need to get all those papers. You know, your obsessiveness is really putting off other people in this workplace. So now they've shifted over to making you look like somebody who's overly intense or overly obsessive. So they've shifted the lens to now there's something wrong with you. Gaslighter is never going to cop to it the way a liar would. A liar will say, all right, you caught me in the lie. Got it.
I was lying.
Right.
Sorry.
But the gaslighter is not, because they have a different end game. And so they're not going to move off their position. So if you push back, now they're going to start going after you as a person.